Hi guys. We are going to talk about BB.6, which is solve using square roots. So when you hear that, I hope you're like, solve what? Well, let me scroll down. So we are still working with parabolas. Okay, what these three lines are the x-axis just moved, and I'm actually going to draw it again separately. So we're not going to be graphing, but we're going to be finding what we call the x-intercepts. Okay, so let me just draw three different coordinate planes. Sorry that they're not straight, but you know that they're coordinate planes. X-axis is horizontal. So what this is saying is we've got three different scenarios. The first one, the green one, is when your parabola hits your x-axis twice, you have two solutions. Okay? We're going to be finding those solutions. This black line is when your parabola hits the x-axis once, you have one solution. Okay, and it also happens to be your vertex. Notice I didn't mention vertex here. We're not worrying about the vertex anymore. We're concerned about where it hits the x-axis. And then the blue line is a case where your parabola doesn't hit the x-axis. So there are no solutions. It never hits this x-axis, so you're not going to have any solutions at all. So we're going to do this mathematically. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our examples. So it's going to be an x squared because these are parabolas, and they just want us to solve. Okay, so what we're going to do is, our algebra, and we always do PEMDAS, so we're going to divide by 2, or excuse me, we always do SADMET because we're doing PEMDAS backwards. SADMET, which is PEMDAS backwards. When you're solving, you go backwards. All right, so x equals 8 divided by 2. Oh, excuse me, x squared. I'm all excited. I love this lesson. X squared equals 4. Now let's square root. Now here's the key, guys. When you square root a number, you always have two solutions. Square root of 4 is positive 2 and it's negative 2. Okay? When you square root a number, you're going to get two answers. So you can write it like this, or you can see people write it keeping it compact, and they would say plus or minus 2. Either's fine. That's it. Just remember, whenever you square root, you're going to have two answers if you're square rooting a number. Okay. I know 0 is a number, but 0 only has one solution, and we'll look at that when we get here. Yeah, here it is. So let's go ahead and solve. So we're going to add 18 to both sides. Okay. So immediately what you can see is going to happen, m squared equals 0. Okay, well, the square root of 0, 0 is neither plus or minus, it's just 0. Okay, so this one only has one solution, it's 0. Okay, now this would be the third case. This was going to be a no solution, and here's why. When I bring my 12 over, I get b squared equals negative 7. Okay, so the fact that I'm about to square root a negative is the problem. Go ahead and type it into your calculator. The square root of a negative is absolutely impossible. It will say error. So anytime you square root of a negative, you should end with no solution. And remember, that's the symbol for no solution. Okay? No solution. You cannot square root. Very important. All right. Okay, what's going to happen here is we're going to get a fraction. No big deal, because these are actually friendly numbers. So I'm going to divide by 4. So the tip is you always square root last, okay? So z squared equals 9 over 4. Now I'm going to square root. Okay, so square root of z, square root of z. Square root of 9 is 4, or excuse me, undo. Square root of 9 is 3. And square root of 4 is 2. And then don't forget you have two solutions, the positive and the negative. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at what it would look like in IXL. So let's see. Okay, let me get to my IXL screen. I want you to see some examples. Okay, let's go to algebra. We are doing BB.6. All right. So we're in BB.6, solve a quadratic equation using square roots. Okay, so they're going to start off very simple, and what's nice is they honestly prompt you to remind you, oh, there's two answers. So when I square root here, because there's nothing else to do, square root of 144 is going to be positive 12 or negative 12. Got it. Okay. I love 1. I'm actually going to do it just because it tends to trick people. Now remember the square root of, no, why did it go away? I'm clicking around too fast. I hope 1 comes back. Oh, shoot. Well, this will be the square root of 9, which is 3 and negative 3. The square root of 4 is 2 and negative 2. Okay, I'm going to jump ahead. Well, before I do that, I want to show you an example with 1. I'm sorry that one went away. Okay, so x squared is 1. So if you square root both sides, guys, the square root of 1 is 1. And it's also negative 1. So we would say plus or minus 1. Okay. I wanted to give you an example of a 1. These should be easy. You should go through the beginning very quickly. Square root of 49 is 7 and negative 7. Okay, and then when you get to a solving, the first thing you would do is make sure you get whatever squared is on the other side. So obviously you would add 49. So then you have t squared is 49. Square root of 49 is plus or minus 7. So 7 and negative 7. Doesn't matter the order, you could say negative 7 first. All right, let's skip ahead. Ooh, so here they ask you real solutions. So everything we deal with in Algebra 1 is going to be a real solution. Okay, so don't let that throw you off. They're just asking us if there's 2 solutions, a plus or minus, 1 solution, or no solutions. No solution is when you square root a negative. In fact, let me go ahead and write that here. So the square root of a negative number is going to be a no solution, okay? The square root of 0 is going to be 1 solution. And then the square root of any other number, just a plain number, it can be a decimal as long as it's not negative. Square root of a number is going to be 2 solutions. So here we have, you're going to subtract 0, so that's not going to do much. You're going to have j squared equals 0. The square root of 0 is 0, so j is 0. So they're just asking how many solutions did you get? I got 1. So my answer here is 1 solution. Whenever you square root 0, you're going to get 1 solution. Okay, let me erase here. So here I can see m squared equals negative 16. Okay, well guys, remember, when you go to square root everything, you can't square root a negative. That's no solution. Okay, ooh, now we're getting to a better one. Let's go ahead and add our 26 over, plus 26. Okay, so negative 81 plus 26, I'm using my calculator, that's going to be negative 55. So v squared equals negative 55. All right, technically I really didn't even need to worry about that because the minute I go to square root both sides, I cannot square root a negative. The minute I saw this was going to be negative, I could have said, hey, that's no solution. Okay, so this is another one that's going to be no solution because right when you add 12 over, I can see I still have a negative number and I'm going to be square rooting it. So this is definitely going to be a no solution. I did not choose an answer. Make sure I choose it. Don't want to ruin my score. All right. Square root of 0. Well, the square root of 0 is going to have one solution because 0 is not positive or negative. Common mistake is people think 0 and they think no solution. But 0 is one solution. Please be careful. All right, good. I wanted one with a decimal here. Okay, so we're going to add 75. Okay. So then what we have is s squared is 75. All right, I don't know the square root of 75. I have a calculator. The square root of 75 is 8 plus or minus 8.66. You know, it's a non-terminating decimal. So plus or minus 8.66. Okay, they're not asking for the answer. They're just asking how many solutions did I get. I got 2. So really, guys, once I saw I was square rooting 75, 75 is a number, that's good enough to say, hey, there's 2 solutions. You should know when to stop. Ah, a 2-stepper. Okay, this is what I was waiting for. This one wants these solutions. So let me actually clear all the screen. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to add 32. Okay, so then that would give me 8t squared equals 32. Now I'm going to divide by 8, and that'll give me t squared is 4. Okay, now I'm ready to square root. So square rooting both sides, I would get t is plus or minus 2. So friendly reminder, I said it before, you always square root last. Okay, ooh, this one's going to give us a fraction. I want to do this one. So let's see, I'm going to divide by 121. So then this would give me s squared equals 81 over 121. Okay, so now when I go to square root it, don't be afraid that it's a fraction. Embrace the fact that 81 and 121 are nice. So the square root of 81 is 9. The square root of 121 is 11. And then even when you forget, they remind you, oh yeah, plus or minus. There's always 2 answers when you square root a number. A non-negative number. So we should say a whole number. Not a whole number, excuse me. We'll say a non-negative number. Okay, so 9/11ths and then negative 9/11ths. Okay, I just double checked my work. Okay, so let's see, clear. So we would add 89. 89 plus 55 is 144. So you have k squared is 144. And you know the square root of 144 is 12. Okay, so I hope you guys are getting the hang of this. It's pretty straightforward, and I like these. So enjoy it and have fun, and email me with questions. Thank you.